It's Module 9, Lesson 2. We're talking about managing growth, hiring more staff, and opening a second location.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Some good stuff here. So knowing when to grow, I think, is huge for any kind of orthodontist. How can you tell that it's time to hire more staff?
Yeah, I think one of the most common ways is if you can't get new patients into your practice for 2 or 3 weeks. If you're booked out that far or months, then you definitely need to hire staff. And if you don't have any room, you gotta grow somehow. You gotta move.
Yeah, and one thing that you can take a look at, especially with being booked out, because I know a lot of orthodontists, especially in olden days, it's like, oh man, I'm booked out 3 months, and it was this badge of honor. Taking a look at your consultation process, like, is it taking an hour and a half? Like, how fast are you getting them through that?
Yeah, you want to make sure you are efficient. I don't actually like when we're booked out more than 3 weeks. And the reason why I don't like that is because I think people lose interest. Right?
1,000%.
And so if someone else can get them in, they're going to go there. And then I lose that thing. So I think 2 weeks is a sweet spot. And so I want to either open up more chairs, more space, hire more people if we're consistently more than 2 weeks out scheduling.
One of the big things is like getting people in within 72 hours. And if you're not able to do that, they're going to find another practice that can get them in and get them seen. And guess what? You just warmed up your competition a good lead.
It's really smart.
So I think checking your systems to make sure that they're working well is a huge part of that. But let's jump into hiring more staff, like you brought up. How do you add new staff members, team members, without messing with your current flow in the office?
Yeah, so anytime you add someone, there's going to be a little bit of a disruption, right? Because somebody's got to train them or whatever. But if your core is strong, they're going to be, and growth-minded. They're strong and growth-minded, then they're going to be able to accept that person and keep everything moving the way it's supposed to be.
It's kind of like when your core is strong in your body, it's harder to unbalance you.
That's right.
It's the same thing with your team.
I wouldn't know about it. I'm just saying.
So why does giving your office manager hiring power help the whole team?
Yeah, so to me, this is where you start giving people value. You start giving them authority. You start giving them autonomy. It is really important for me in particular. I like to give my office manager a lot of leash, right? Because I don't want everything to be my decision. They show ownership in the practice, but then they also show ownership in the person that they hired, right? I have to meet them, but I don't necessarily have to make the final decision, which I like.
So let's talk about second locations. I know a lot of people are, it's a shot in the arm. It gives a quick boost and everything. But I think when you really are looking into opening that second location, there has to be a lot of things that line up with your first location. So what are those things that have to be true before you ever consider opening that second place?
Yeah, I think you actually have to maximize your current space. And a lot of times what we do is we start to get stagnant in our first location. We're like, oh, we're going to open a second one. But really, it costs almost double the price to open up another one as it does to just make your one that you currently have efficient, right? And maximize it. So I would always lead people to maximizing what you already have before you move on to something else. That way you get a better return on investment and your system's already in place. It's a lot more challenging to open up another location.
Yeah, because if your practice is running at 50% optimization and then you open another and then it goes down to 30 and that one's at 15.
Yep, you got 2 underperforming practices.
Yeah, when you could have one practice that is absolutely crushing it. But I think, let's say when you have everything is in place, why is starting a small satellite office a smart idea?
Yeah, I love the idea of doing that. Maybe you rent a space from another general dentist or a pediatric dentist in the area that you want to go to. That allows you to start building up a little bit of clientele, building up a little bit of momentum before you just jump into that water, right? You can always back out of that if it turns out that place is a dud. It gives you the flexibility to really kind of test the waters.
Yeah, and again, when you're going into these second locations, you're doing the same process as your first location. You're doing demographic studies. You're making sure, you're calling council people. You're doing all of these things to make sure that that location is actually going to be good and not just a wash of money.
The thing that most people forget is normally if you open up a second practice, you have another building to pay for, right? That's a huge expense. So especially if your other practice is not efficient, you're just paying all this extra money and the overhead. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you don't want to get into this position where you've done all of this and then it's like, oh, this isn't working. It's eating my lunch. I'm going to have to close it, because then you're going to feel like, oh, I didn't achieve what I'm supposed to. Focus, and then you can grow. So last thing, why is it risky to grow too fast?
Sometimes when you're growing so fast, you don't have a way of funding the growth. So your profitability may go down tremendously. And so you always have to be cautious of that. Like, just because you're growing doesn't mean that you're actually taking home more money. It just means that you're doing more work or you have more things going on. So you want to balance that. And there's a happy medium, and you always want to make money, right? The goal is to make money in business.
So there you have it. That is lesson 2 of module 9. We'll see you in the next one.